Is going on, everybody, and welcome to what day is it? It is Tuesday, the Tuesday edition of the Stochastic NHL Strategy Show. I am your host, Josh Harris. It is the autumn of George, and it is soup season for George, so that's a double combo for George. But huge seventh inning for the Blue Jays last night, overcoming Vladdy Guerrero walking in an Austin Matthews jersey. Yeah. You were using all caps, which is rare for you. But we have a slate here tonight. 10 games. The only 6.5 total per pinnacle is the Sharks Islanders. So this is going to be a doozy. Joining me to break it down, Slim Cliffy, what's going on?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Good day to be a Toronto Blue Jays fan, but we do have a lot of hockey to talk about here tonight. We do have 10 games. We have a lot of the big boys on the board. Colorado's playing, Edmonton's playing, Toronto's playing, New Jersey's playing, Dallas is playing. And then there's, I mentioned in the tweet, there are a couple of extremely chalky spots that we're going to have to make some decisions on, especially if you're playing single entry. But I do kind of like slates like that because if you're somebody that does just kind of want to fade something that's super chalk, there are a lot of very interesting and very, let's call them high-end ways to go. So pretty nice slate ahead of us. Let's get to it.
Yeah. Also, if you are a member of Stochastic and didn't realize, I don't know how you could follow Stochastic and not know that NBA is starting tonight. There's literally 38 scheduled tweets per second. But we do have a deal for you guys here. If you click the link in the chat and use promo code SGA, you get the first 2 days of any monthly or weekly package for $1. If you're interested in giving NBA a try, might as well use promo code SGA. It will reset on Thursday to whatever you try, weekly or monthly. If you are a seasoned NBA veteran, and to those people I say, seek help. But we do have a 20% off monthly code for you. It's OKC. If you grind NBA and play NHL, you're psycho. We love to see it, but promo code OKC is for you. As always, if you do want to go premium for NHL, you don't have to. These shows remain free. You can click the link and use promo code Stochastic15. That'll get you 15% off any week or month subscription. Let's get this right out of the way. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off on this slate. San Jose Sharks with a 2.7 total heading into Long Island. There's no worse place on earth. The Islanders have a 3.8 total. Kosovo might be worse, but Long Island is way up there. New York Islanders, there we are. Sharks loading the top line. Celebrini, Toffoli, Will Smith, Eklund, Skinner, Wenberg, Misa, Gaudette, Colin Graff. Islanders going Horvat, Drouin, Heineman, Barzell, Palmieri, Duclair, Anders Lee, J.G. Pajot, Shabanov. So we just got an update probably about 10 minutes ago or so with these new Sharks lines with some new updates to some other chalky spots. There are 3 lines in this game with double-digit ownership, and I'll be 100% honest, it makes me want to puke. Like, normally I'd be excited that Celebrini, Toffoli, and Will Smith are together at 16-1. 11.2% top 2 stack, 14.6% projected ownership. But legitimately, their best puck-moving defenseman might be Nick Leddy. And if that's even the conversation, you're going to suck 5-on-5. Now, 14.6% ownership is a lot. It's not the chalkiest spot on the night by a mile. And if we're being honest with ourselves, the one thing the Sharks are decent at here is their power play. It's the only thing that's really decent. And that top line is fully correlated. And the Islanders' penalty kill is atrocious. It has been for years. It's gotten off to an awful start. Sorokin hasn't been great. So I get it from that sense. Do I want to play the Sharks at almost 15%, relying on an Islanders taking 3-4 penalties and the Sharks converting on them? Not particularly. So, I think the Sharks top line's fine just because, as the Hoss would say, it's a primo power play spot. And if the Islanders do give them 3-4 opportunities, they can convert them. The price is decent. The ownership, it is what it is. But, in MME, I'm definitely going to get some exposure to them. But I prefer the Islanders side here, especially since the ownership has come down. There's no matchup concerns at all for any of these lines. There's nothing that concerns me coming back from the Sharks. It just depends what you want to do, because Horvat and Drouin are on the top power play unit. Barzal and Palmieri are on the top power play unit. So you get both lines with two of the three. I think for me, I would just power play stack, and I would do it with the Horvat line. One, it's coming in with less ownership. Two, I know Barzal is the favorite player to watch, but Bo Horvat is their best player. He's their best player for DFS as well. I'll go Horvat, Drouin, Barzal, Horvat, Drouin, Palmieri, something like that. If you just want to do Islanders top line with Heineman and add in a Palmieri, Schaefer, whatever, that's fine. I'd probably do some sort of power play stack, which is ridiculous saying that, because the Islanders power play is awful. It was atrocious last year. It's not off to a great start this year. Schaefer being on that top unit definitely helps, but the Sharks, the Sharks team might actually be worse than the 2013-2014 Sabres. So everything is in play here for the Islanders. The ownership isn't awful. I'd probably just find a way to get a little bit different if using the Islanders. They have the highest total on the board here tonight. I'm kind of glad that this game's at 7 p.m. and not 10:30 p.m. Eastern in San Jose, so your night doesn't hinge on a late game. We'll get it out of the way early, depending on if you're playing or fading. But I much prefer the Islanders side here. I get the Sharks top line here, but having to rely on the Sharks to do something on special teams is never ideal. I'd probably do some sort of Islanders power play stack.
Yeah, I'll start on the Sharks side. I will say, a couple of the reasons why you do have to consider the Sharks. I mean, yeah, the 15% ownership, obviously not ideal, but by top two stack, they're number 4 on the board. There are 20 teams playing here tonight in the San Jose Sharks line on the road is number 4 by top two stack. So it's not like this is a 3% top two stack with 15% ownership. They're at 11.2%. It's the same as Colorado. And a big part of that is that Islanders penalty kill. That Islanders penalty kill, it was awful last year. So far this year, if you look at 4-on-5 numbers, they are dead last by shot attempts against per 60, dead last by shots against per 60, dead last by expected goals against per 60. And as you mentioned, the Sharks haven't scored a ton of power play goals, at least not the top unit yet. A lot of it's shooting percentage driven. They're actually generating over 9 expected goals per 60. The top power play unit is. So that's one reason why I don't. Those are a couple reasons why I don't mind them, is because they do have a high top two stack. The ownership isn't that much higher than the top two stack, and it is arguably the best power play matchup on the board here tonight. The other thing is they're only 16,100, right? This isn't a 19. We have seen the San Jose line at $19,000, $20,000 at times last year when they were really rolling. This is 16,100. Now I know Celebrini hasn't quite looked like himself. I wonder about his health. This is a guy who really didn't take part in training camp until the last week. He only got one preseason game in. Maybe it'll take him some time to get up to speed. Who knows? But it's not like this is a fearsome matchup. And at 16,100, you don't need 4 goals from them, right? So They're not a priority for me necessarily, but if you're looking for if you're looking at a mid-range build, like there are a handful of lines between 16 and 18K that I think that I would probably turn to. This San Jose line is absolutely one of them. They're not at the top of the list, but I do think you have to consider them. As for the Islanders, like I agree with you, like some sort of power play stack, some sort of onslaught stack. I mean, we do like to make fun of the Islanders here, but the top line is constructed with Horvat and Heineman and Drouin has 62 shot attempts per 60 minutes in their time together. Bo Horvat individually is at 2.3 expected goals per 60. Like, yeah, they've only played 5 games. Like, that's obviously going to come down. But he has been a menace. Like, even Emil Heineman's at 1.5 expected goals per 60. Like, that's a guy that I did like with Montreal, and it sucked they had to include him in the Dobson trade. Like, he's on the top line for a reason. The second line's not as good without Anders Lee, but Kyle Palmieri's about 20 shot attempts per 60. So like I do think like some sort of power play stack, some sort of 6-man stack. Like this is not a good San Jose team. Like you kind of alluded to it. Like I do think like this is a bad Sharks team, but I will say the Sharks are at 3.9 expected goals per 60 on the season, and the Islanders are at 4.6. A lot of the Sharks' problems is on offense. They're not good defensively; they're bad. You can make the case the Islanders are worse. The San Jose's big problem is they can't really generate offense. Like they're at like 22 shots per 60 minutes. It's awful. So, if there was a lot more ownership on the Islanders, I'd be like, yeah, easy pass. But at like 10% or whatever, like 10 to 12% or something like that, I think it's fine. I do think a game stack is in play here. We've already seen the San Jose play a 13-goal game so far this season. I'm certainly not expecting that again here tonight. But the Islanders are just coming off a 9-goal game with the Senators. They had a 7-goal game with the Penguins. They had a 7-goal game with Winnipeg. Like this is a team that either does put up or does allow goals or sometimes both. So I do think a game stack is fine as well. I would probably lean some sort of Islanders power play stack over San Jose, but you do have to consider both sides. Like there is a reason why there's a 6.5 total in this game.
Yeah. And I said it already. I'm just so happy this is a 7 p.m. Eastern start instead of 10
Yeah. And as GA007 mentioned in chat, like the third line for the Islanders is bad. Like we mentioned it a couple shows ago, like there's a reason they moved Anders Lee down to that third line with Pajot. It's because he can make that line better. Since Lee moved down to that third line with Pajot and Shabanoff, 73 shot attempts, 4 expected goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Use them as a filler if you want. But I do think the Islanders power play stack is probably where I go instead.
Yeah, the Sharks third line could maybe be a top line in the ECHL. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to a more reasonable game, even though this one sucks as well. Vancouver Canucks, they 3 total heading into Pittsburgh. The Penguins have a 3 total as well. Pittsburgh going Crosby, Rust, Raquel, Malkin, Mantha, Brazeau, Novak, Kindell, Hollander. Vancouver going Pettersson, Garland, DeBrusk, Kane, Sherwood, Aturati, Sasson, Linus Karlsson, and Arshdeep Bains. I just said it because I wanted to say Sasson. That's not even how you pronounce it, but makes me want to watch The Beauty and the Beast. Anyway, Philip Hedl is out after that hit from Tom Wilson. Everyone wanted the book thrown at Wilson, didn't even face supplemental discipline, but whatever. Pittsburgh top line, 18,000, 15.4% top 2, 13.3% projected ownership. This is a really interesting spot because if you look at the 5-on-5 numbers for the Canucks, they're awful to start the season. What's saving them is Thatcher Demko. Like, he has been elite to start this season. There's nothing really coming back at me from the Vancouver side that worries me. Like, yeah, Pettersson scored the other day, but, like, he still doesn't look great. Hedl's out. Their middle six is just depleted. I do really like Pittsburgh 1 here at 18K. I just, you're running into a really, really good goaltender, and that's the issue. But, we've seen this Pittsburgh line at times last year before dynamic pricing be almost 21,000. So it feels cheap. It's a good 5-on-5 spot. So I do really like Pittsburgh 1 here. Pittsburgh 2, 11,900 if you want to throw them into the basket of fillers that you can use with the really expensive lines. That's fine. They're continuing to roll. It's just like eventually they're going to come down to earth a little bit, but you can ride the wave against this Vancouver middle six if you want. But it is a Pitt 1 game for me on the Pitt side. On the Vancouver side, like, they have a 3 total, but I don't want to play a Pettersson line for $17,000 on the road. Rotty, Sherwood, Kane at 11,700. Not really. Like, if I'm going to play Vancouver tonight, it's probably just going to be like Quinn Hughes or something, and I'm going to move about my day.
Yeah, I honestly, when I saw the 3 total for Vancouver, like, I thought there's some sort of mistake with the projections. It's like, are you serious? They're missing 5 forwards from their lineup, and Pettersson's not, like, he doesn't look good again. Vancouver, it's just an easy fade for me at 17 and change. There are like 5 different lines in that price range I'd rather play, so I'm out on the Canucks. As far as Pittsburgh goes, like, the top line hasn't really come together yet since Brian Rust returned. That's one thing that's kind of worrying me. Like, they're at 50 shot attempts, 2.4 expected goals per 60 since Russ got back. Like, those are bad numbers, like below average. And considering how good this line has been offensively for the last couple of years, I do wonder if Russ is even healthy. But this is a good matchup, and it's not even Demko starting; it's Lankinen. So I do think it's a pretty good matchup for the Pittsburgh top line, especially because they're going to go out against Pettersson. The Pettersson line has not been good defensively. They've actually been bad defensively. If Demko out, like, if Lankinen doesn't step up, like, it could be a pretty long night. 18K is perfectly reasonable price to pay. Even with the ownership discrepancy, they're at 13%. Vancouver's at 4%. I would way rather play Pittsburgh here tonight. I don't think I'm going to get to the Penguins personally. It's one of those things, like, I get wanting to play Pitt 1 while they're at this price and not doing super well, because you do expect them to turn around eventually. Playing single entry, I kind of want to wait to see them turn around and not get burned like 4, 5, 6, 10 times before Brian Rust starts to figure it out. So for me, like, I guess it's probably Pitt 2. They're a nice filler here tonight. The thing is like, I know the top line is perfect power play correlation. That's great. The Penguins are only drawing 2.3 power play opportunities per game. They're tied for last in the league. You get 2 power play opportunities a game. Like, I really don't care about the power play correlation that much. 11,900 for Mantha, Malkin, and Brazeau. They're still at 4 expected goals per 60. They're still at 62 shot attempts per 60. Even Anthony Mantha is over 14 shot attempts per 60, which is easily above league average. So for me, I do like Pittsburgh here, but I think I like Pitt 2 more just because they're not really drawing any power plays, and I don't want to rely on the top line needing like 3 even strength goals or something like that to get value out of it.
Fair enough. Edmonton Oilers, they 3.1 total. Heading into Ottawa, the Senators have a 2.9. Jake Wallman returning for Edmonton, that helps them at both ends of the ice. You can take a 7th or 8th defender out and bring in Jake Wallman. He has been elite offensively since he went to the Sharks last year. Definitely helps them. Both ends. Edmonton going McDavid, Draisaitl, Podkolzin, Nugent Hopkins, Mangiapane, Jack Roslovic. Ottawa going Stützle, Batherson, Cousins, Pinto, Giroux, Amadio. This Edmonton top line is under 20K. It interests me. It had 2.5% under 20K. Draisaitl and Podkolzin played a ton together last year with Arvidsson. They were really, really good. The issue that they had in the second half of the year was finishing those chances. With McDavid there, I think they'll be just fine. Ottawa's middle of the pack defensively. or they've been middle of the pack defensively to start this season. Their penalty kill has not been good to start the season. Edmonton's power play is definitely lagging a bit without Hyman, but at 19,800 with positive leverage, I'm definitely in on Edmonton 1 here. Like, if you happen to get Edmonton 2 in your mix in MME, like, fine, but like, it's a chore stacking Edmonton for me without McDavid or Draisaitl. So it's really Edmonton 1 or bust for me. On the Ottawa side, like, it's Ottawa 1 or bust. Really, I mean, you could play Pinto, Giroux, Amadio at 11-6. Not super interested in that. Like, you could throw that in the filler basket for really expensive stuff. It would be Stützle, Batherson, Cousins for me, but, a full complement on the Edmonton blue line. They've generally been good defensively. They're in the top 5 in the NHL and expected goals against per 60 at 5-on-5. They generally have a good penalty kill. It's just a matter of, does Stuart Skinner stop the shots? And I think that narrative is slowly going to go away the more games he gets under his belt. Occasionally, he's a goalie. They'll have awful games. So, like, a 10-game slate, 16,700 at 3.7% is fine. But this is a pretty bad matchup, especially, and you can, as painful as it is to say, you can go play the Sharks for $600 cheaper against the Islanders. So, like, I do like Ottawa 1 in MME a little bit, but this is an Edmonton 1 game for me.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it a little while ago, or a couple shows ago, I should say. A big reason why you would typically play the Ottawa Senators is the power play, because they would not necessarily that they were great on the power play, but they would draw so many opportunities that you would kind of have to play them. The power play really hasn't done a whole lot so far this year. And this isn't a team that generates a whole lot of 5-on-5. So kind of agree with you. I don't really have a lot of interest in the Ottawa top line. Like 16,700, I think it's a reasonable price for a line that is perfectly correlated. But Edmonton, we do like to kind of bag on the Oilers a little bit, but their 5-on-5 defense has been just as good as Ottawa's so far this year. And if you look at the PK numbers, they're pretty much diametrically opposed. Ottawa is in the bottom 10, and Edmonton is in the top 10. So, I don't have a problem with playing Ottawa. Honestly, I'd probably just go back to Shane Pinto, see if I can keep riding that wave. But for me, this is an Edmonton game. I mean, this is a McDavid, Draisaitl top line under 20K going up against a team whose penalty kill has been nothing short of bad. It was the problem with Ottawa last year, is they were very good at 5-on-5 defensively and an absolute clown show defensively on the penalty kill. And it's the exact same thing again this season. The Ottawa penalty kill has given up 9 power play goals against in 6 games. Okay. By expected goals against at 5-on-5, they're worse than Minnesota. Okay. They're worse than Minnesota. They have a lot of trouble, basically below the dots. They do a good job of limiting shots from the perimeter, so nice, but they give up a pile of shots from within 15 feet of the net, and that's a problem. So if you want to just use the Edmonton top line, go right ahead. I would probably add Evan Bouchard on the blue line, because if Edmonton does go ham here tonight, it is going to be because of the power play. So I really do like Edmonton here. It's another one of those reasons why I'm not so high. Like we talked about Pittsburgh earlier, why I'm not so high on Pittsburgh. I would just rather play Edmonton here, especially because they're only an extra $1,800. It's a very, very good power play matchup for the Oilers. Ottawa is taking their fair share of penalties so far this year, 3.8 times shorthanded per game. 9th most in the league to start the season. This is a team that typically does take a lot of penalties. The big problem with Edmonton's power play so far has been finishing. They're not drawing a lot of power play opportunities either. That's the one thing that's kind of holding me back on the Oilers. So the Oilers are only getting 2.8 opportunities per game. It's below the league average. But if they can get like 3 or 4 chances on the power play here tonight, I think they stand a good chance of getting 1, if not 2. So for me, this is an Oilers game. Anytime I have McDavid and Draisaitl on the top line, they're under 20K. And they're coming in with 2.5% ownership. I'm interested.
Yep. Well, and McDavid is stuff of nightmares. New Jersey Devils, 2.9 total. Heading into Toronto, the Maple Leafs have a 3 total. Vladdy might have broken the curse for the Leafs, but they still suck. Toronto going Matthews, Nyes, Domi, Nylander, Tavares, Michelli, McMahon, Roy, Joshua. Devils going Hughes, Barat, Palat, Heischer, Meyer, Mercer. Nason, I don't think is coming back tonight. I think it's the next game, they said.
He's not playing tonight.
Yeah. That would have been cool because he is one of the better net front power plays. But, we'll save that for another day. Matthews, Nyes, Domi, 17,700, 6.6% top 2, 4.3% projected ownership. That price is good. The ownership is good. It's just a tough matchup. It is Jake Allen tonight. It's going to be Nico Dawes tomorrow, I believe. The Leafs are still, pretty good offensively, especially with Domi up there. Like, I know Easton Cowan looked good, but like Domi at this stage of his career and maybe all of his career has been offensive, not defensive. So like, I don't mind Toronto one here. I'm not prioritizing them by any means, but like, if you can get a Matthews line again under 5%, it's the same thing as like McDavid, right? McDavid 2.5%, Matthews around 5%. Like, that's scary stuff, especially because Matthews has been an empty net merchant to start the season, but that's for another time. I do like Toronto one here at that price, at that ownership. I'm probably not getting there in single entry, but if I was 20 maxing, I'd probably have at least one. Same could be said for the second line. They're only $800 cheaper, but they're coming in under 1%. Devils generally have a really, really good penalty kill, and that's the one thing keeping me off Toronto too here. Matthews line can get there at 5-on-5. That second line generally has been more power play dependent. So it really is Toronto one for me. On the Devils side, like, Toronto's middle of the pack at 5-on-5 so far this season for expected goals against. They're actually better than the Devils so far, if we're being honest. But, once you get past that Matthews line and the Riley pairing, it just kind of gets iffy. And if Matthews is going out against Hughes, I think my preferred line would be Heischer, Meyer, Mercer. And as much as I dislike Dawson Mercer, I think, it's fine in MME here under 1%. The Jack Hughes line is also fine. This is an MME game for me, and it would be the Devils' top 6 and the Matthews line. Don't think I'm prioritizing anything in single entry. They're all right around the same price, but if I was 20 maxing, I'd probably have one of each.
Yeah. One of the things, earlier I talked about Pittsburgh and not drawing any power play opportunities, and that's why I really didn't like the top line. It's the same problem for the Leafs. They are tied with Pittsburgh for the fewest power play opportunities per game, and this is nothing new. The Leafs weren't good at drawing power play opportunities last year either. And the Devils have it feels like year after year the Devils have a great penalty kill. So far this season, they've given up 1 power play goal in 5 games. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, this is a terrible power play matchup for Toronto. So they do have to get there at 5-on-5. And, they can get there at 5-on-5, but when you have to rely on it entirely, like 2 5-on-5 goals and then an empty net goal or something like that, like that's your path. It just feels like drawing pretty thin. Of course, they can score a power play goal. Anything can happen in any given game. If this is like a 6 or 7 game slate, I would probably be giving it a lot more consideration. On a short slate like this, I'm not sure. Going to be honest, that Toronto second line has pretty good expected goals numbers. Now, it's a small sample, but we do like Matias Michelli around here. For me, I'd be more apt to one off some guys from Toronto because, even as much as I don't like stacking them, like Austin Matthews still has the top projection at 16.3 here tonight. Top projection of any skater, let alone any center. So, if you want a one-off Matthews, if you want a one-off Nylander, I think that's the route I would take with the Leafs here tonight rather than full stacking because this penalty kill is just way too good for the Devils, and to do it entirely at even strength is just a really tall task. So I'm in more on the New Jersey side. Like that Hischier, Meyer, and Mercer line, I'm with you. I don't really like Dawson Mercer, but 4.1 expected goals per 60, 87 shot attempts per 60. Like these guys are lighting it up. And, it's the Leafs don't have a great penalty kill. They're certainly not the New Jersey Devils in this regard. So it is the Meyer, Hischier, Mercer line that I do like best in this game. I do think that they're pretty consistently undervalued and underrated. And, 17,900, it's a bit expensive to ask, but listen, these guys have no ownership. So if you're looking for one of those mid-price stacks that absolutely nobody is playing, this has been one of the best 5-on-5 offensive lines in the league so far this season. It's just 2 weeks. They were really good last year too. So for me, this game is about Devils 2 on the Leafs side, maybe some one-offs, but that's about it.
Notorious slow starter Timo Meier off to a hot start this season too. So you got that going for you. Seattle Kraken, welcome back. 2.4 total. Heading into Washington, the Caps have a 3.6. Washington going Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier, Protas, Wilson, McMichael. Seattle going Schwartz, Tolvin, and Stevenson, Beniers, Eberle, Catton, Marchment, Wright, Winterton. They got run over by the Flyers last night. And getting run over by the Flyers is like that scene in Austin Powers where the guy's coming at him with the steamroller in slow motion. Like that's how slow the Flyers play, and they still got run over. But why that's important is they pulled Joey Decord after the second period yesterday. So I would imagine they did that so they can go back to him tonight. That being said, I still do like Washington here. I was off the Strome, Ovechkin, Beauvillier line the other night, and Dylan Strome had like 48 DK. I think it was like 37 DK points. The same thing kind of stands though. Like generally speaking, that line without Protas isn't very good. Now in a small sample, they have been, but I want to see it done over a bigger sample. I'm going to save the $1,000. Save some ownership, go to Protas, Wilson, McMichael here at 15,200. There's no real matchup concerns. Like they're all generally the same line with different names. So for me, it would be Washington too. You can go to Strome, Ovechkin, Beauvillier. They have been hot. They are coming in with almost double-digit ownership, and that's just not something I like to do with the Capitals line. So it would be Washington too for me. On the Seattle side, back-to-back on the road, 2.4 total. No thanks.
Yeah, I have no interest in Seattle, as you said, back-to-back on the road against a Washington team that has been one of the best teams in the NHL so far this season. So, that's just a no for me, dog. On the Washington side, both those top lines are firmly in play. And it's why I was talking about the mid-price lines earlier that I seen fine that I didn't really like. It's because this Washington team is one of the teams that I'd want to target. Like the Kraken have actually been pretty good defensively so far to start the season. It's not a big sample. We'll see where things stand in a month, but they have been good defensively. Here's the problem. It's Philip Grubauer night. We know how those usually go. I know Decord didn't play well last night, but those things happen from time to time. So on Philip Grubauer night against a Washington team that has been, kind of low-key torching the NHL, this Caps team's at 4.5 expected goals per 60 at all strengths, 4.5 expected goals per 60 at all strengths. No other team is at 4. You know what I mean? There's something they're 13% higher than the next closest team. So I really do like Washington here. It's just a matter of where you want to go. Protas, Wilson, McMichael initially stuck out to me. I looked at Protas and Wilson's numbers over the last couple of years. Whenever they play without Pierre-Luc Dubois, 112 minutes together, only 2.7 expected goals. Like, I don't think McMichael is... I think Protas and Wilson are good enough to kind of lift McMichael to being a second-line center. I don't think McMichael is actually a second-line center. It's not on a cup contender just yet. Honestly, I would probably go to Ovechkin, Strome, and Beauvillier here. I mean, number one, they're going to miss that Beniers line, right? They're going to get the depth matchups from Seattle, especially with the injuries on the blue line. Like, that's, or I guess Montour's not injured technically, but that's a good thing. The others, Alex Ovechkin, he gets a ton of power play time. Like, that line, or Ovechkin and Strome, as you mentioned, have been good in a small sample so far this season. 73 shot attempts, 4 expected goals per 60. Like you, I do want to see more of it, but it's not like we're being asked to pay 18 or 19K here. It's 16,200. You can probably get away with just a couple goals from this line and you'll be fine. So for me, it's Ovechkin, Strome, and Beauvillier, but I think the entire Washington top 6 is firmly in play here.
Florida Panthers, 3 total. Heading into Boston, the Bruins have a 2.5. Florida practiced with new lines yesterday. They're sticking with them for the game. It's Bennett, Verhaeghe, Reinhart, Marchand, Lundell, Luosterainen, Samoskevich, Erod, Jesper Boqvist. Boston going Pasternak, Lindholm, Geekie, Zacha, Arvidsson, Middlestat. It's like, okay, like Boston 1 is 18,700 with 4.5% projected ownership. With a 2.5 total at home going up against the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champs. Yes, they're missing Barkov. And yes, they're missing Matty Tkachuk, but they've also still been good defensively. At 18,700 and 5.5%, I can take an extra $1,100 and cut that ownership in half and play McDavid and Draisaitl. It just doesn't seem like a choice for me. I'll never say no to a Pasternak one-off, so that's where I'm at with Boston. Pasternak one-off or bust, really. If you're playing 150 and happen to get to some Middlestat, Zacha, Arvidsson, you could leave it unless it's an egregious amount. Florida is more interesting to me. That top line of Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett is fine. 10,600, 7.1% projected ownership. Like, that price is fine. They're kind of in that range with New Jersey and Toronto. And I think, I'd rather go play that Hischier-Meyer line. You can certainly play the Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett line. Like, I have no issue with it. But I'd rather go play the New Jersey line. The line that's interesting to me is Lundell, Luosterainen, and Marchand at 13K, 0.6% projected ownership. They haven't played a ton together this season, but they were disgustingly good in the playoffs last season. There's no matchup concerns coming back on the Boston side. So, I'm not saying let's go run out and jam Lundell and Luosterainen on a 10-game slate. But if you're, power play stacking Edmonton or something and you're spending like 23 or something, you can fit in Florida 2 with them. I don't mind them at that ownership and price. So it's Florida 1 for me, but don't mind Florida 2 and a Pasternak one-off.
Yeah, this is one of those things, like, in theory, this is a great matchup for Florida. The Bruins haven't looked great defensively so far this season. If you look at the expected goals against, they're 25th in the NHL. That's not what you want to see. The problem is that the Florida power play has been terrible. Now, they're finally getting away from that 3-4-2 defense nonsense. So we'll see how that goes. This is technically a pretty good matchup for the Panthers because so far on the season, the Panthers are drawing the most power play opportunities per game. They have 31 power play opportunities in 7 games, and the Bruins are giving up the 4th most power play opportunities per game. So, like, Florida could see a lot of power play time here tonight. Problem is we just don't know if their power play is going to be any good. But at 17,600, again, that line is in a spot or at a price where a couple goals will probably be enough. And they're coming in with a fraction of the ownership of Dallas that we'll get to in a second. they're coming in with roughly the same ownership as Toronto. And, if nothing else, Florida's drawing way more power play opportunities than Toronto is. Like, that's another reason to kind of like them, is like both power plays are below average, but Florida's getting 2 extra power play opportunities per game. Seems like a pretty easy choice for me to go to Reinhart or Hagee Bennett. Now, I know that they're not really they're not correlated on the power play. I think it's only Reinhart is on the top power play unit. So if you want to drop down, to Florida to get Lundell and Marchand, I think that's fine. If you want to do like Lundell, Marchand, Reinhart, I think that's perfectly fine as well. But I do like the Florida side better than the Boston side. Like with Boston, again, it's just top line or bust. And the top line was actually generating reasonably 65 shot attempts per 60 with Geeky there before he got booted off earlier in the season. Problem was they're shooting 3.5%. That's just, you're just obviously not going to produce that well when you're shooting like that. Florida's still been above average defensively. The goaltending's been solid. Florida's not really taking a ton of penalties. So, at 18,700, I wouldn't say no to playing Boston one here, but you can go play the Oilers for an extra $1,100. You know what I mean? And it's would you rather play McDavid, Draisaitl, and Podkolzin, or would you rather play Boston 1 against Florida? For me, I'd rather play Edmonton. So I'm not in so much on Boston here. For me, it's more about the Florida side. I would go to Florida 1, but even though their power play's been bad, I do think the changes that they've made should make it better. And if you want to turn it into some sort of Bennett, Marchand, Reinhart power play stack, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Columbus Blue Jackets with a 2.8 total. Heading into Dallas, the Stars have a 3.6. Matt Duchene is out tonight. They've kind of loaded up their top 2 lines, I guess you could say, as best as they can. They're going Hintz, Rantanen, Sagan, Johnston, Robertson, Bork. The bottom 6 is just a bunch of guys. Columbus going Marchenko, Monahan, Voronkov, Fantilli, Jenner, Johnson, Coyle, Sillinger, Olivier. I'm going to start on the Dallas side just because there is an egregious amount of ownership here. Hintz, Rantanen, Sagan, 17,600, 16.1% top 2, 18.6% projected ownership. As Cliffy alluded to, more than double that Florida top line for the same price. Robertson, Johnson, Bork, 15,500, 11% top 2 stack, 21.4% projected ownership. Now, I have a couple issues here. Obviously, the ownership is one of them, but 2, they're leaving their bottom 6 so thin here that if it's I just don't think that Sagan and Bork are going to make it through the game. 2, I don't really want to play 21% Maverick Bork on this slate. 3, I want to do some sort of power play stack. And I think that's the way you can get a little bit different in a high ownership, high total game. The problem is that's when it starts getting expensive. I think what you could do is go like Johnson, Robertson, leave off Bork, and add in, Mikko Rantanen. But then you're looking at just under 20K, right around the same price as the McDavid line. The issue that I have, just straight up stacking Hintz, Rantanen, Sagan, for instance, is, the only matchup really worth a damn is against Monahan, Marchenko, Voronkov, because, Werenski goes out with them 60% of the time or whatever it is. It's a high number. And they've actually been fine. The issue for Columbus is once you get past them and on the penalty kill. So, the Johnston line is going to be in better 5-on-5 matchups. But, again, that ownership is really, really high. So, I think I would do some sort of power play stack, whether it's Johnston, Robertson, Rantanen, Hintz, Rantanen, Robertson, just full-on power play stacking. I guess you could do it. I mean, of the chalky spots, I'd rather play Dallas than the other one, and you'll know when we get there. But, I just don't trust that Bork and Sagan are going to stay there. You can see I could see a third line of Sagan, Steele, and Bork coming together in the second period because they need to lengthen the lineup because the bottom six is getting run over. You know what I mean? So it would be some sort of power play stack for Dallas. On the Columbus side, this is a pretty tough matchup, but, Marchenko, Monahan, Voronkov, 16,100, 2% projected ownership. I'm not saying, let's jam in the Blue Jackets here, but they do have a 2.8 road total in one of the worst matchups. So, it is not nothing. And, Monahan, Marchenko, Voronkov dating back to last season have been excellent. So, I don't mind taking a stab at them in MME at 2%. It's the only line on Columbus I have interest in, but it would be Columbus 1 and some sort of Dallas power play stack.
Yeah. Columbus is one of 4 teams with an expected goals against, all strengths expected goals against over 4. The other 3 are the Islanders, Sabres, Blackhawks. They're giving up the 3rd most shots behind only the Sabres and Sharks. So, this is a really good matchup for Dallas. It is expensive, but it is such a good matchup. Now, what you mentioned about Edmonton is pretty much my point here, is that all of these Dallas guys, I'll bring up the ownership screen. You have Robertson 24%, Johnson 23%, Hintz 23%, Harley 19%, Sagan 17%, Bork 17%. That's a lot of ownership for a 10-game slate. If you look at the Edmonton side, Wallman 7, Bouchard 3, everybody else is under 3% ownership. Leon Draisaitl 2.5% ownership against a terrible penalty kill on a 10-game slate. That's kind of it. It's you can get Leon Draisaitl at 1/10 the ownership of Jason Robertson. It just feels like one of those spots where usually I'm ownership agnostic. If I like the spot and they're projecting well, I'll just play them. But when you're talking about 1/10 the ownership, that is honestly way, way too much for me to pass up. And looking at the line values, Edmonton is in the top 5 for me personally, just looking at my stuff, and Dallas isn't. It should be said, Dallas is Dallas is an excellent offensive team. I don't want to kind of shortchange that. Probably shouldn't be overlooked that Dallas is riding some pretty hot shooting percentages right now. As a team, I think they're top 5 in the league by shooting percentage. And that's with a bunch of guys in the bottom 6 really not doing anything. So if I were to play Dallas, I agree with you. I would do some sort of power play stack here. I'd do Rantanen, Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen, Robertson, Wyatt Johnston, something like that. I think me personally, I would probably just go. I'll probably just go play Edmonton instead if I'm going to pay up into that price range. But listen, Columbus has been a horror show defensively. Dallas is, and the other thing is because of the injuries that you mentioned, Dallas is giving more ice time to the top guys than they usually do. One of the reasons we're typically low on the Stars is because every forward would play between 13 and 18 minutes. That hasn't been the case. Mikko Rantanen's at 21.5 minutes. Wyatt Johnston's almost 21 minutes. Hintz is just under 20 minutes. These guys are getting a lot of ice time. So I think that's a reason why I would be kind of scared of fading Dallas here tonight. But for me, I just considering how much ownership is coming in on those guys and how little ownership is coming in on Edmonton, I have more interest in the Oilers than I do the Stars. On the Columbus side, I kind of agree with you. Monahan, Marchenko, Voronkov, 16,100. That trio's at 80 shot attempts per 60 minutes so far this season. They are perfectly correlated on the power play. It is a kind of a tough matchup. I think for me, it'd be more 20 max and above than it would be single entry. I do think there are some other low-owned spots in that price range that you can go play instead. Even Washington 1's coming in with single-digit ownership. When we talked about Toronto earlier, that Tavares, Michelli, Nylander line is under 1%. We get to Anaheim here in a second. There are just other spots you can go. So For me, this is a Dallas game. It is a great matchup for them. It's just a matter of whether you want to play them at 20+% ownership. I think, on a slate this big, there are other spots you can look to.
I already know the answer to this question, but I feel like I need to ask it. Would you rather play Dallas chalky here or the team we're going to talk about next?
Easily Dallas.
Okay.
Easily Dallas.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Anaheim Ducks with a 2.8 total. Heading into Nashville, the Predators have a 3.1 total. Nashville going Forsberg, O'Reilly, Luke Evangelista, Stamkos, Bunting, Haula. Brady Martin's back in the lineup on the third line with Svechkov and Tyson Yost. Anaheim, we have to wait and see on their lines. I just went and checked if they've hit the ice yet. Yes, this is the 6th Super Bowl for Frostback. We are keeping a counter in the office. It has also been 0 days since he's had an incident. He cracked open his skull yesterday on a door frame. But what I was getting at here, in the last game, Killorn got moved off the top line for Mikael Granlund with Carlson and Kreider. So we have to wait and see if they run lines. In our top stacks, we have Carlson, Kreider, Killorn, Cutter Gauthier, Mason McTavish, Bennett, Seneke, and then Terry, Granlund, Vetrano. We'll have to see if they skate. They haven't yet, I don't believe.
No, and one of the reasons why that's important is Granlund's on the top power play unit. If he is on the top line, it would make that line perfectly correlated.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other perfectly correlated line while we're at it. Nick Blankenberg is out of the lineup, which means Luke Evangelista is going to be power play 1. So Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista, fully correlated, 14,700, 10.8% projected ownership, or top 2 stack, 24.4% ownership. Just no. Like, if I'm going to play something super chalky here tonight, it will be the Stars. Like, if I'm going up over 20%, it's going to be the Stars. I know they're fully correlated, and I know historically last season the Ducks penalty kill has been awful. It hasn't been too bad to start this season. The Ducks, honestly, like, not awful, which for them is a vast improvement. So, like,
what if I told you on the PK so far this year, they're top 5 for fewest shot attempts against and top 5 for fewest expected goals against?
Yeah, it's just insane. They still are atrocious at 5-on-5. Like, atrocious, which is par for the course for them. But their penalty kill has been improved.
And the thing is, sorry to cut you off, but even if it gets worse by 20%, instead of top 5, it's league average. And it's still not a bad penalty kill. So, like, it is a small sample. It would have to regress incredibly far to get anywhere close to where they were last year.
Yeah, and Joel Quenneville has been putting Troy Terry on the penalty kill. He had 0 penalty kill minutes last season. So maybe he unlocked something there. I don't know. Like, listen, if you want to play Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista at 14,700 at 24.4%, go ahead. If this is the line that I'll say, if they beat me, good for you. I'll wake up tomorrow and we'll be on the show. There's no show tomorrow, but you know what I mean. Like 25% Nashville, it just feels like a few years ago when they were always like 31% projected with like a 9% top 2 stack. They have a 10.8% top 2 stack here. I think it's up there for this slate, but I just can't do it at the ownership. Especially, like, if the Ducks penalty kill was as bad as it was last year, yeah, sure. Like, fine. But, I just can't do it. If you want to do it, go for it. It's not something I want to do. I think, like, Bunting Stamkos maybe or something, but even that line's getting ownership at almost 6%. There's other lines in the 11K range I'd rather play with fractions of the ownership. So I'm out on Nashville. The Anaheim side is more interesting to me. Either way, I like Carlson, Kreider, Killorn. If Granlund's there, It makes it 14,600 and fully correlated. Still $100 cheaper than Nashville. Fully correlated. That Kreider has made that top unit viable. Nashville's penalty kill isn't good. I'd much prefer to play Carlson, Kreider, Granlund to Forsberg, O'Reilly, Evangelista. If you want to go to Gauthier, McTavish, Seneke, like fine, but they're all the way up to 16,900. They're $4,000 more expensive than they were at the start of the season. It would be that Carlson, Kreider line. I'd like it a lot more with Granlund there. I still like it with Killorn there. With Killorn there, they're 0.1% projected. We'll have to see. Like if it is Killorn there, like Granlund, Terry, Vetrano also in play. So out on Nashville, it would be my favorite Ducks line is Carlson, Kreider. I like it a lot more with Granlund. I still like it with Killorn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be quick on Nashville. I'm not playing them at 24% on a 10-game slate. And hey, it's like, what if the Ducks are just actually good? Like, what if they're better than we thought they were going to be? Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Like, Zellweger gets better, Gauthier and Carlson get better. You know, Chris Kreider makes a difference. Troy Terry finally has some help. Jackson Lacombe establishes himself as a number one. Dostal is great. Like, all those things are like could very easily happen. Like,
even if only like three of those things
like,
happen,
like what's the realistic chances that Anaheim's actually just straight up not only better, but quite a bit better than Nashville is? I don't think that's unrealistic. I am out on Nashville at that ownership. Like I'd rather go play the Islanders. And it's not even close. So yeah, the only question is what to do on the Anaheim side. Like I said, Kreider, Carlson, and Michael Granlund would be a perfectly correlated top power play. And here's the thing. The Anaheim top power play unit has been good. 125 shot attempts, 12.4 expected goals, 9.8 actual goals per 60 on the power play for that top unit. Those are good numbers. And if you want to build with Granlund, and then, you know, if it is Killorn, you take him out, you know, make sure Granlund is in your utility, like all that stuff. I think it's fine. You can probably just build with Granlund one way or another just because they are correlated on the power play. You know what I mean? And he does get a lot of ice time. Like there's an empty net situation or something like that. Like he's going to be on the ice. You know what I mean? So I do like Kreider, Carlson, and Granlund here. That's probably the line I would go to just because you can get them over $2,000 cheaper than Gauthier, McTavish, and Seneca. That's where I would go to, but you know, I think it's Kreider, Carlson, and Granlund for me. I just straight up like Anaheim better than Nashville in this game.
Yeah, I do as well. It's like chalk Nashville is just not a thing I'm into. Los Angeles Kings with a 2.6 total heading into St. Louis. The Blues have a 2.9. Did the Kings skate yet?
Yeah, Corey. I don't know about a skate, but they did have some media.
Was there? Oh, let me see. I know Corey Perry's in, but I'm just trying to figure out if they loaded the top line of Kempe, Fiala, Byfield again.
No idea.
Yeah. Because that would be interesting to me. We just don't know. We also don't know where Corey Perry's going to slot in because we don't have him in top stacks yet. The Blues lines are Thomas, Holloway, Neighbors, Kyrou, Shen, Joseph, Buchnevich, Suter, Snuggerud. I will say if the Kings do run out a Kempe, Fiala, Byfield line at 18,400, I would have some interest there. We do have them as a line in the top stacks with a 6.3% top two stack, 1.2% projected ownership. Like I'm not going to prioritize them on this slate. They're kind of priced in a range where I either, you know, like go up to Edmonton or go down to, you know, like New Jersey in that range, whatever. But like, I want to see that line moving forward. I don't mind them in 20 max. If it is, we'll have to see where Perry slots in. No idea. So it would be that Kings top line if they do load it. Otherwise, not super interested. The Blues are where I'm interested. And I know Haas is going to be down bad. He's in the chat. But here's the thing, like Thomas Holloway Neighbors, 18,200, 0.1% projected ownership. Like if you don't want to play them because they're going to get the quote unquote tough matchups, like that's perfectly fine. But if you start going down, like Suter, Buchnevich, Snuggerud at 13.6, 0.1% projected ownership, gonna see some Cody Ceci, gonna see, the bottom pair at times. No one's playing them. Suter has been off to a great start this season. Snuggerud, this is probably a better role for him than being on the top line. It's more sheltered. He gets to, not face top comp every time he gets into the lineup. So I like that Suter, Buchnevich, Snuggerud line. You want to go to Thomas Holloway Neighbors, that's fine. I think a two-man of Shen Kairu is also fine, but it would be the Kings top line, assuming it's Byfield, Fiala, Kempe, and that Suter, Buchnevich, Snuggerud line.
Yeah, if it's Byfield, Fiala, and Kempe, like I do think that is a line you can play. I just worry about the power play because as Haas said in chat, they're staying with the 5-4 power play. I think Trevor Moore is on the top. Like, what the hell are they doing? Are they trying to get Brandt Clark to ask for a trade? That's the only thing that I can assume is going on here. Anyways, one reason why I'm not super high on the Kings is because I don't have a lot of faith in that power play. Blues aren't taking a ton of penalties. They're better than the league average in that regard. Blues' big problem on the penalty kill has been the goaltending. It's just that's been they've had a couple problems. Goaltending's been one. The other one was Logan Mailloux. Remember the other day on the show when we were talking about him and defensemen, I said, watch St. Louis go out and have their best game of the season. Yeah. So St. Louis goes out, beats Dallas 3-1, and has their highest shot share and expected goal share of the season against Dallas. You take a really bad defenseman out of the lineup and put in at least a competent guy, it makes a massive difference. A 2.6 total for the Kings, like you want to play the top line, like go ahead. That's just not something that interests me. On the St. Louis side, like Thomas Holloway Neighbors, I couldn't believe the price. Why the hell is Robert Thomas 6,800?
He shot the puck like 3 times this season.
It's exactly like, Sidney Crosby's $500 cheaper. Wyatt Johnston $600. John Tavares $800. I just think that I like that line. I like the spot. I think they're wildly overpriced. For me, it'd be an MME thing. Like if I'm playing 150 lineups, maybe I have a couple with that St. Louis top line. It's more about Suter, Buchnevich, and Snuggerud for me. Snuggerud leads the team in shot attempts per 60, leads the team in expected goals per 60. Suter and Snuggerud so far together this season, 77 shot attempts per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. They've been very, very, very good. They're going to get those depth pairs from the Kings, and that means Cody Ceci time. For me, this game is about Buchnevich, Suter, and Snuggerud at 13,600. I think they make a nice filler. Like if you're playing like a 17 or 18K line and you want to play one of the super expensive defensemen like, Zach Werenski, Cale Makar, whatever, I do think this is one of those lines that you can put in. So the Suter line from St. Louis, for me, I don't really have a lot of interest in the Kings.
Let's get to the late hammer. Last game on the slate, Colorado Avs with a 3.2 total. Heading into Utah, the Mammoth have a 2.8 total. Colorado going McKinnon, Netchus, Lehkonen, Nelson, Nishushkin, Landeskog, Colton, Olofsson, Drury. Utah going Genther, Cooley, Peterka, Keller, Schmaltz, Hayton, Krause, McBain, Carconi. Like, in theory, I like Colorado one here, but also they're 23,200 on a 10-game slate, 11.3% top 2 stacks, 0.5% projected ownership. It's like for $3,800 cheaper, I can go play Draisaitl and McDavid. You know what I mean? You can leave off Lehkonen and add in Olofsson. that brings it down to 19,900, if I'm doing my math right, which is always an interesting dilemma on the scene, on the fly. But again, I'd rather just go play Edmonton here. It's not like you're getting a massive ownership edge. It's not like McDavid's going to be 11% here tonight. You know what I mean? He's going to be 3%. So McKinnon's going to be 2%. Whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean? And Edmonton's in a much better matchup. So, like, I do like Colorado, but it's just a price thing for me. They're just too expensive for me. On the Utah side, they don't really hard match. You know, the top six will see top six. I don't love prioritizing Utah here, but if I'm 20 maxing, I'll probably get one of Hayton, Schmaltz, Keller, assuming that they see a little bit more of the Nelson line. Not that it's a huge thing because Colorado is good defensively. They generally have a decent penalty kill, this and that. So I'm not prioritizing this game by any means, but there's some decent MME spots.
Yeah, low key, Utah's been one of the best defensive teams in the league through the first couple of weeks of the season. Now, I repeat, it's only been the first couple of weeks of the season. They played some bad teams, but they went into Colorado for the season opener, and that was a 2-1 game where they outshot the Avs, right? It's always dangerous to fade McKinnon like this on a huge slate. If this line was 20,500 or something like that, I think then we're talking at 23,200 is way too expensive. Like you said, if you want to take out Lehkonen and put in Olofsson to make it a lot cheaper, make it a power play stack, I think you can do it because while the Avs power play hasn't been very good, like low key, the Avs power play is 12%. It's the fourth worst mark in the league. They are getting a ton of opportunities, tied for the second most power play opportunities per game in the league this season. Utah tied for the ninth most power play opportunities given to the opponent per game. So like Colorado could get 4 or 5 cracks on the power play. And if you put in Olofsson, brings it under 20K, it's a lot more reasonable. To me, it just screams MME. Like you said, you can go play the Edmonton top line for $3,500 cheaper or whatever. So if anything on Colorado, I would probably go to the second line just to use them as a filler. Like they have been pretty good this season, 83 shot attempts, 2.8 expected goals per 60. But I think this is one of those situations where I'm kind of worried that Utah's defense is healthy, which it really wasn't last year. I do think that's making a difference. So I hate fading the Avs. But at 22,200, I think it's pretty sensible. It's, on the Utah side, both top lines have been pretty good offensively. They're both over 3 expected goals per 60. The Colorado penalty kill has been great, like legitimately great. The goaltending's been great. So at 18,200, 17,600, I just think there are other spots like in that price range. Like, you can go play that Florida top line at 7%. Those New Jersey lines are both low single digit ownership. The Hughes line at 1.6, the Hischier line under 1%. Like there are other spots, other teams in better spots with similarly good lines that you can go play at low ownership. So it feels weird to say because these should be 2 good offensive teams, but these have also been 2 excellent defensive teams. I think in a single entry, it's a fade for me. It's one of those things like maybe I'm gonna have to go to bed like an hour earlier than normal tonight and just not stay up to see what happens because of it feels like I'm gonna wake up to a 6-5 game here, but both teams have been excellent defensively, and I think the first game between these 2 teams showed that.
Yep. Let's talk about defensemen 6K and up. We have Werenski, Makar, Hughes, Bouchard, Yossi, and Hamilton. I think they're all viable. I'm pretty sure Yossi's going to be the chalkiest just because of the spot. The issue that I have with Yossi, besides the ownership, he only has 15 shots on goal in 6 games this season. That's pretty low for him. I don't mind Makar. He just plays an unbelievable amount of minutes. Same with Werenski. They're like 25 plus night in, night out. I don't know if you have, I'm not going to force them in my lineup, but if I'm down to the last spot and have salary for them, I think they're fine. I think Bouchard is the number one for me, 6K and up. I don't mind Quinn Hughes, but the problem is everyone else on Vancouver kind of sucks. So he has no supporting cast. So it's really Bouchard and Yossi, and I'm fading Nashville because I just refuse to play them at that ownership. So it's probably just Bouchard for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Yossi. His point per dollar projection for the 6K and up defenseman is the best at an even 2.0. So I don't have a problem playing Yossi. I have Quinn Hughes at number one for one of those reasons. It's if Vancouver does get 4 goals tonight, he's probably going to be heavily involved, right? Just because they're missing so many bodies, he's going to have to play a ton of minutes. He's going to have to get so involved offensively. So Quinn Hughes, number one. I also do like Evan Bouchard just because it's such a good power play matchup. But for me, I would probably only use Bouchard in Edmonton power play stacks. It doesn't feel like one of those games where he goes off and the rest of the team does nothing. It's if he goes off, it's because the power play goes off. And if the power play goes off, McDavid and Draisaitl are going for a ride. So I do like Bouchard. His point per dollar value is fine, but I think it's in Edmonton stacks. Otherwise, it's between Hughes and Yossi. I'd probably rather play Hughes, but certainly both in play. In the mid-price range, both Dallas defensemen in play, both Harley and Heiskanen. I do like Jackson Lacombe here. Again, we do have to consider the fact that Anaheim is just straight up better than Nashville. So I do like Lacombe. John Carlson, he is in a great matchup with Washington, whether you want to play Carlson or Chychrun. I think they're both very much in play. I have Carlson. Matthew Schaefer is interesting because he's not projecting super well, but the Islanders' power play has actually been good with him running it. And it's not just they're running hot or something like that. They're generating a ton of shots. I think that's why you're seeing him stick there. So I do think Schaefer is interesting. He's another guy like Bouchard, where I think if I play an Islander stack, I include him on the blue line. Also mentioned Charlie McAvoy. You might just have to block about 50 shots here tonight coming from Florida. For looking cheaper, Brady Shea's projecting well. Esa Lindell's projecting well. Adam Larson from Seattle. Dmitry Orlov from San Jose. Listen, neither of us are really fans of the San Jose blue line. The Islanders have arguably the worst penalty kill in the league, and he's running the San Jose power play. So I don't mind Orlov for under 4K. Adam Pelech on the other side of that game. He's only 3,100. He hasn't done a ton offensively yet, but his underlying numbers are considerably better than they were last year. We know he wasn't healthy last year. This is a great matchup for Pelech. Don't mind him. Olin Zellweger running power play 2 for Anaheim. I think he's third in the league for shot attempts by defensemen, at least on a per minute basis. So Zellweger under 4K as well. Under 3K, it's Mario Ferraro, Rasmus Sandin, Brandon Tanev, Chris Tanev, and Ryan Shea from Pittsburgh that stick out.
Let's talk about goalies here. I don't know what that was. One of my dogs is going nuts, but welcome to the show. Logan Thompson, 8,500. Sorokin, 8,400. Ottinger, 8,300 at the top of the board. I don't really want to play Logan Thompson at 8,500. He does have some shutout equity here, though. I think he's more of a cash game play than GPP. I think if I was spending up, it would be for Ottinger or even Wedgwood. Don't mind Stuart Skinner either, as miserable as that sounds. In the mid-range, Dostal, 7,400. Don't even mind Jake Allen at 7,500. If you're going super cheap, I guess it's not that much cheaper. It's $100, but Vmelka at 7,300 is not ideal. But as Cliffy said, these are two really, really good defensive teams. If you want to get a little crazy, you can go Jeremy Swayman. I think Swayman is really about as low as I would go unless Decord gets the start again here tonight at 6,900. Askarov, Merzlikins is horrifying to me. I don't mind going back to Decord here, but for me, I think, Dostal is the cheap guy that sticks out to me.
Yeah, Logan Thompson is the highest projected goalie on the board, against Seattle with all their injuries. I guess it makes sense. He's at 13.8. He's also 8,500. That feels like a lot to pay. Jake Ottinger is just behind him. I think he's fine. I think both goalies in that Nashville-Anaheim game, because, Nashville has really struggled to score so far this season. They struggled to score last season. Both teams are top 10 for shot attempts at 5-on-5, though. So I do think one of those goalies is going to have a good night here tonight. It's just whether it's Saros or whether it's Dostal. I mean, maybe both do. Who knows? But I think both goalies are perfectly fine. And I also mentioned Jeremy Swayman. I mean, listen, Florida was not a good 5-on-5 scoring team last year, and now they have no Barkov and no Kachuk, and they've had a bad power play as well. I don't think this is going to be like a 6-4 game one way or another. I think one of those goalies turns out a good performance. Jeremy Swayman, 7,200, one of the best point per dollar values by Stochastic projections tonight. I do like him as well.
We will be back on Thursday. I think there's only 2 games tomorrow. Friday is still to be determined depending on GPPs, but we will see you Thursday for sure at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
Let's go to Dallas. I'm going with Wyatt Johnston.
I'm in that division. Going to the Blues. Going to Snuggy Bear. Snuggaroo.
It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. But we'll see you guys on Thursday again. If you want to check out that NBA package, promo code SGA with the link in the chat. But good luck, everybody, tonight. Hopefully we're leading off Thursday talking about you winning. So good luck.
Good luck tonight, everyone.